Well now, today's video on my Discovering Kentish Villages is Fordwich. However, it's not a village. What can I say about Fordwich? It was originally a village. It's ancient. We're talking 700 AD, 800 AD. It's mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1086. It was then designated a village. It then achieved town status. And as you can see, Britain's smallest town. Inhabitants 300 plus, something like that. That's small for a town. So I thought I'd take a walk through. The road's closed to traffic, so it's great. I can walk up and down the main street. Now I'm going to go with my Sony Cybershot. I mentioned it in my other video. I thought that might work, and so I've got the GoPro attached so that I can do a POV like this. Rather than just say, oh, that'll make a picture, I'll actually show you me taking the picture, which is fine. So Fordwich in Kent, the River Stour runs right through it. A river runs through it. That's a movie, isn't it? So what I'll do is we'll start at the very top of the town. We'll come down the high street. We've got the old church, which I believe is no longer operated as a church, but it is open to the public. And there's supposed to be a sarcophagus with the remains of Saint Augustine himself in. Whether I find it or not, I don't know. But that's how we work with these videos, isn't it? Definitely going to see some old buildings, which is nice. The old town hall. There's the pub. I think it's called the George or the George and Dragon. We'll see when we get there. And the River Stour. So yeah, let's see if we can take some pictures, but also learn a little bit about Fordwich. Herman's Land House and Fordwich House, isn't that lovely? I love the gateway. So I've walked up to the top of the village, kind of spied a few properties that I'm going to take photographs of. There's not really an awful lot going on here, but there are some old buildings. Now, I was reading as I came up, just so that I could get the gen, that Fordwich was a port in the 12th and 13th century, and so they used to sail up the, I'm going to put the word here, how would you pronounce this? C-A-E-N, Seine. It's the stone that they used to build the Canterbury Cathedral. So it was brought up the Great Stour, and eventually the Stour, I say eventually, it made Fordwich quite a prominent seaport because it was very close to Sandwich and all of that kind of stuff. And then what you get is the Great Stour silted up, and so the town lost its port status, but it was actually one of the arms of the Cinque Ports. So that's interesting. What else did I read? That the town hall was built in 1544, so I'll take you to that. We'll have a look at that. And also it lost its town status in 1880 because there was no mayor and no constitution or something like that. Conglomerate, a word, I'll put it on the screen. So it was only in 1974 that it gained its town status again. So yeah, a couple of pictures. I like that. And with the Sony, I can just zoom in and take some nice shots. Kidding. So they've got some building work down at the bottom of the high street, so the road is actually closed, and it looks like it's going to be closed until the end of June. So I've seen quite a few people driving up and down where they've only got to here, and it's kind of a narrow country lane. Oh, look at that, isn't that lovely? Garden shot. Yeah, it's a narrow lane, so the people won't know the road's closed until they get all the way down here, and then they have to turn around and come back. So I'm recording my audio on the GoPro. I don't have a mic attached to the DJI, but that way I can give you forward view as we walk down. Look at this. By the way, cottage. Oh, I've got exposure compensation on. You have to adjust these things, don't you? That's better. It was blowing out. I feel like I can walk down the middle of the street, and that way we can have a look at these old buildings. The little Georgian house would have made for a nice photograph if the car wasn't there. Yeah, interesting. Very tiny. I would call it a village. It's been a town, a village, a town, and I'll deem it as one of Kent's hidden charms. Sony makes it really easy just to grab a shot. Framed the entrance of the house. Some of the older houses down here have got some lovely front doors. This is, by the way, house. Oh, here comes a Land Rover. What are the chances he's going to turn around? Oh, he's got high-vis jacket, so he might be working here. Look at that old one. That's wonderful. Oh, I like that. I like the butt, the water butt. Get a shot of that. And I like the stable doors. Private property, Backsland barn, Christmas house. Car behind me, but I want to get a shot of the barns. Yeah, he turned round. He'd had enough. Couldn't get through. Walnut Tree Cottage, that's nice. Oh, I like the window up there. Can you see the green window just above the door? Green glass. Lady's getting in her car though, so I'll let her drive off before I take a picture of it. I want to take a picture of it. Okay, she's driven off. Can I get this lovely Walnut Tree Cottage? I want to be careful. I don't want to actually offend anybody by taking photographs of their properties. This is all overhanging. Watch your head. People were small in the 15th, 16th century, 1500s. Brown's Cottage. So we're talking 1700s here. Oh, look at that oast house. That's lovely. And this, with its lamp post. We like lamp posts, don't we? I'm constantly having to adjust the exposure compensation. I'm shooting in shutter priority here because I just want to make sure I get the shot without having to concentrate too much. Portrait and landscape. With the oast house, that's lovely. I could almost make it black and white, and that way it could look like it belonged in the 16th century. Spring Lane, I think you can get to the church through there, which I'm just going to walk down that way, but the public footpath goes down there and then you turn left. But we'll carry on down here. That oast is lovely. I'll take something out of that. Let's get one of this property straight on. Can I get it? Just about. I'll adjust the perspectives on that. Don't you love a post box? Post box in the wall, someone's drive. Could be a short video of this. Wow. Ooh. It's all the beams in the side of the property and the windows. Another Coronation Street thing. What do you think? Little row of terraced houses. Dee, 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 dee. So yeah, they're doing some renovation on this old property, and because they have to do all the retiling and they have to do the roof, they've actually got a skip, so they've blocked the road off. Road closed. Is this a place to come when you retire, do you think? Starting to rain. Okay, who were they? Pioneers and explorers of Australia lived here. John Baxland. Pioneers of Australia, 1769 to 1806. When did England start deporting criminals to Australia? Were they part of that, the Baxlands? Interesting thought. They said it's going to rain this afternoon, so I better get a shift on. So we'll have a look down here because we've got the Town Hall, 1544 did I say? Watergate House. Look at that old house, isn't that beautiful? Little white property, number 1. Monk's Hall. I'm going to try and capture that without any cars to give me the essence of old. And we come down here, we've actually got the Fordwich Arms, which obviously there are 2 pubs in Fordwich, the George and Dragon and the Fordwich Arms, which I think is under renovation. There's the Town Hall, which does get open to the public. I think you can pay a fee to go in. No, I've got rain on that. Bear with while I wipe. I'm using the compact camera because I wanted the, just the convenience of walking around and shooting. But there's still considerations that you have to make, in as much as, don't anticipate the rain. So we've got the River Stour just down here, where they would have brought up the stone for the Canterbury Cathedral to be created. Just saw a swan going by. Yeah, they're doing renovation work. Swanee River. Just because I'm here, I like the willows. That makes for a nice scene, with the reflection of the bridge in the background, and now the swan in the foreground. A tad dark, but I can work with that. I can always brighten it up. Boats on the river, how about that? It says that it's private land there, so I can't actually walk through onto the quay. Oh, it's going to seriously rain. I thought I would knock out 2 videos today, both at the same time. But with the rain forecast for the afternoon, I don't think that's going to happen. And it's not bright enough to wear the sunnies, so you get me with my normal glasses. There's the church. Wonder why it stopped being a church. Maybe we'll get some information when we go in. Let's go and have a look. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Do you ever get that thing where you're entering into a church graveyard and you want to try and read every single gravestone? I don't know if it's because you might think that you spot someone famous, or you want to compare which is the oldest gravestone. But I think I can take something here. I like the aspect of it. It's too bright. Right, let's have a look here. Let's adjust this. Not sure what was going on with this camera. However, which one is it? Is it that one? That's better. 24mm on this camera, so I actually have to come out. If I had my DSLR, then I could get my 18mm, couldn't I? I'm liking that old house with Go-Cat biscuits in the window. Right, let's go in the church. Let's see what it's all about. Might get some interior shots like I did at the other place. Might even be a tapestry. St Mary the Virgin, Fordwich. This church is cared for by the church's Conservation Trust, the national charity protecting historic churches at risk. Although no longer used for regular worship, our churches remain consecrated and open to all. Oh my. For a church that's no longer used for services, this is remarkably well kept. 19th century pews, did I read somewhere? Look at this. People can have their own pews. Let's walk down the main. Again, it's got that aroma. It might be the old mud, the old musky smell. I wonder why they don't use it for services. I'm out a bit. I'm loving the ceiling. Lines. And we are all alone here. Look, they're going to actually put on a show here. St Mary's Church, Fordwich, The Tempest. Wilhelm Shakespeare. Right, that was St Mary's the Virgin Church. I think we'll walk down the high street, have a couple of shots of some front doors and the George and Dragon pub, and then we end up at the Great Stour River, or just the Stour River. I know some people call it the Stour, S-T-O-U-R, but because I lived in Ashford for nigh on, well, when did I arrive in Ashford? 82, left in 2014. The math is on the screen. I had a year and a half in Guildford where my second son was born, but for the rest of the time I lived in Ashford. And so another video with clinking glasses, and so it came to be known as the Stour to me. The River Stour went through Ashford and they had the Stour Centre, so I can't get Stour out of my head. And it may well be that there's a Stour north of Kent, you know, in Essex, around that area, and maybe they call their river the Stour, but it's the Stour. Okay, so we'll walk down this bit. Rain is full on now. Keep wiping that. A man of major capabilities, c'est moi. I can wipe things. Quaint little houses, one for sale. Come out, Tad. Nice. Can't stand in the shade, isn't that pretty? Can I get it all in just at 24mm? I like the roses around the door. Got River Cottage there, but we've got a lady doing her work in the window at her computer, so definitely not taking a picture of her. Right, a couple of more shots because the rain's starting in earnest now. I'll take a picture of the phone box because they have one, and it actually has a phone. I'm half tempted to ring it and do one of my silly, you know, like and subscribe things. I don't want to be in the shot. Did you see that? I was in the reflection. Proper working telephone box. Oh, that's nice. An old barn. Let me wipe the front of the camera. Again, it's having the capability to do it. If I was using my SLR right, then I wouldn't have known that I had rain on it until I'd taken the picture. Simply because I've got this back screen and it allows me to see any blurs, but I like that. I like that aspect, the scene. Old garage, I can imagine, you know, where I grew up in the 60s, born in 63, I have these distinct memories of living in towns and villages with my parents where these buildings were prominent. And so I remember people tinkering and playing about with things, classic cars, well, the actual cars of the day, in their day. But so I see that and I'm immediately transported back. It's a nostalgia trip. Lovely. So the Georgian Dragon, do I frame that with this tree? It's a beautiful pub on the main street. Let's do it in 2 steps. Let's do it without framing it. Hi there.
Hiya.
So if these are 1736, my mind is thinking that this whole area, this part of the town, was perhaps built in that era, you know, or rebuilt, shall we say. So that pub would have looked like that in its day. It would have had red brickwork, but they've kind of sandblasted it and painted it over the years, and it just looks lovely. It looks inviting, and I'm not even a drinker, you know. Cleaned the lens again. I suppose I could go in and have a shandy, couldn't I? Half a shandy. Right, I want to take you down here because down here is River. There's the bridge, someone walking over. So I think just get a shot of the bridge in the river. Here comes the biffer. Look at that old barn in there. And an old tractor. I'm going to take a picture of a tractor. Although not a classic car, at least I can get a picture of a tractor. Lovely. Come on, out you go. Isn't that wonderful? I'm looking at it. I won't take a picture of it. I'm looking at it because I'm thinking, you know, ancient and old. Let me show you the river from this side. Private land, no fishing. Oh, I hadn't thought of taking a picture of the river from here, but I might get a shot of it. Fly. Buzz off fly. Oh, time to change the battery, bear with me. Guess what? I brought a spare battery for my camera, but I didn't bring it. So I'm going to take a couple of shots with the old mobile, because we can do that if we've got the right gear. Because I'm only going to do 2 shots, one from the other side of the river, and then I'm done. Cask ales and fresh food and wine. I believe this is a Michelin-starred pub. I'll put it on the screen, what accolade it's got. The Georgian Dragon. So if you're nipping in for pie and chips, I don't think you'll get pie and chips. You might get escargot. Yeah. Lovely, lovely. Let's get a couple of shots. Let's do the shot of the river. A river runs through it. Mobile phone, just all the correct exposures and everything, right? Let's push it out. Make it wide angle. There you go. That was Fordwich. Quite a lovely ancient town. But I don't have too much history for you, other than it's got one of these milestone markers. National Cycle Network 1. Canterbury 2 3/4 miles that way. London 93 miles so far. I'm not walking that. Sandwich is 14 miles, Dover 28. And so they would have sailed up the River Stour here and brought the stone from the sea from France, to be quite honest, probably because it was Norman, wasn't it, or Plantagenets by then, and sailed all the way up to Canterbury, even though the river's flowing down, and it would do because the sea is that way, right? Okay, a completely unplanned, but I think quaint and lovely anyway. It was worth doing a little walk around Fordwich. Not actually a hidden village, but a town with 300 residents. Oh, why didn't I bring the spare camera? I just saw that and I'm thinking that's a lovely scene. Edge of the King Street with the Georgian Dragon. Let's take one shot of that. We can process these. I think it's only a 12 megapixel, isn't it, when you do mobile phone? But we can still adapt. Thank you so much for watching, continuing my adventures through Kent and the villages with my cameras, phone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.